Okay, the first thing that I want to let the people know that are watching this is that it's highly recommended that you subscribe to the new channel. There will be more, and that you hit the bell so that when you're signed in to YouTube, you're notified of new uploads. A lot of you subscribed, 20 some odd subscribed to this channel, but oftentimes they don't know when there is a new upload unless they get a Substack notification. So hit the bell. It's very important when we start to wake up that we learn from our mistakes and that we're willing to share what we're learning with others, because we have a karmic connection with the future and past generations. And I know for a fact, and I brought it up to my mother, I brought it up to my father, that in my adolescence, whether it was deliberate or not, we can debate that, and I suggest we should. There was very little that I was taught directly from the parents other than to fear men and women, and how the very similar personality type of both my mother and father, even though they didn't like each other, it obviously has to do with their warlike verbal nature and violent nature, at least on the father's side. And so I know that certain things may have been okay in my childhood, but only in a few things. As far as the adulthood, it actually gets worse. There's more judgment towards me as a grown man in my 40s than there actually has been as a child. And so just because people get older here on earth and become senile and grow old and their hair becomes gray and their body parts fade and fall off, well, okay, maybe not everybody, but you're getting the idea. That doesn't mean that they're attaining wisdom. Their slowing down and whatnot isn't necessarily deep contemplation. Sometimes it's real like darp, 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 darp. And like that is the natural way for those of us that are educated, that do believe in God, in helping and honoring our mother and father. But when we've been abused by them, especially when they won't admit it and own it, we honor them by trying to help them before they, quote, croak or die. Somebody can respond, and one did when I tried to help this person by sending them Astral City and then responding around the time of COVID. Oh, that's grim. Grim to what? Know what awaits us in the afterlife if we were greedy and selfish? No. It's not grim to be told that there's many, many people in this world that made a whole lot of money, that were really sexy, that were really popular, that when they go over to the other side, if they worship themselves and their own ass, they're not, in my opinion, going to heaven, but ending up in a world of their own matrix and creation. And so when I say things that one may perceive to be attacking or hurtful, it's there to actually elevate their consciousness to something above the Archon world. It's not then there to motivate them to drink, kill themselves, or have sex with the wrong people. In fact, I've recommended that people find good people, especially in rural America, and that there's plenty of lonely men out there that would love to meet a nice, real spiritual woman who's not going to freak out on them. And they would open up their arms. No, they're out there. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Also, I didn't say it's easy to have a relationship. If people have unresolved stuff as an adult and older adults, yeah, newsflash, you're not going to attract. And the fact is, I'm not going to attract because I still carry trauma from the past. But I am honest about it when I say that I've got this stuff going on and this stuff going on, and I write the autobiography Cliff Notes. Then I come back and say, out of the 40 women that I fornicated with, but I won't. How many of them offered even to massage my back? Out of those that have massaged my back, there was no fornication. No sex. So, I do now, because of things that my mother said to me a very long time ago, before she stopped sharing her perspectives on thy topic. She said plenty of things that were educating to me in the pre-2012 era of time. Then, as you know, after 2012, everything seemed to have gone to shit. And there's been a massive attack on the feminine. And the whole reason that the dark feminine is rising is to control both the men and women, to create such resentment of women, misogyny, that there is then the counteraction towards the women, the trafficking, and then there's the hardcore misgendering anti-man that will come later. It's very similar to what I told you about the manufacturing, the black supremacy and the white supremacy. You know, for those that, oh, I don't know, pay attention. This is the third park that I've been to, and this video is being performed on water. We're literally on some sort of like built out thing that is over the water. So underneath my feet is water. Left hand receives, pulls in that energy, and then the right hand sends. So you might want to send some healing energy. So when I'm doing that sauna, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, dry sauna, I'm imagining all the microparticles of the less conscious aspects of what I am evaporating into the abyss down the grounding cord. And what I'm doing is so powerful in that sauna, it's alienating the other men and women. But sometimes when I'm super centered, they get mystified and they want to come around me. As far as people interacting with me, though, on a verbal level or text message level, messages of empathy. I've sent in recent videos. There was a message that came through a few times from Cambodia. But as far as supportive messages from the city of my birth or this local region, or New York, or LA, or Florida, or the American South, or Colorado. But when I'm on, there's a certain person who lives in Costilla County who likes my content when I'm on Facebook. But I turn off my Facebook and I turn off my Twitter. So yeah, we keep coming back to this. We have to let go of the people that we can't save, family and friends. And I have put out so much of my time and energy into the internet. I'm not going to stop. It's just that this channel itself that you're watching right now, which doesn't have very many likes and comments, somebody said the other day that the views are being reversed. And this is like an ongoing issue. This is an ongoing issue to be dealing with this type of, they could be like recognizing my voice via AI or face. And there could be a demon in control of it all, making sure that my whole life I'm censored and suppressed. And my whole life I've been aware that I have been artificially removed from, quote, loving, feminine energy. And what I have experienced as far as females in my life, they have been supportive, not high on the feminine loving energy, just humanoid females, as in they don't have a penis. But as far as that healing, loving energy, that seems to be something that is going extinct. And the humans seem a little too comfortable, is what I've noticed as of late. The cell phone addicts, the zombies, the zombies without empathy, those zombies. They seem a little too relaxed while Rome is burning. So let's move on to our topic. So I do believe in learning from our mistakes. I want to touch upon what I would do different if I can turn back time to 1998. And I think it's really important to talk about this, use this as an example, and then I want you to fill in the blank, because this is a self-help video. What would you do in your life, ma'am, if you were to turn back time and go back to when you were 15 years old, or when you were getting ready to have your first sexual experience, if maybe that's what you want to go back to and correct? Like, what would you do? And the question is, why would you not write a blog giving advice to other girls or women or men or boys like yourself once you realize that maybe there were certain things that you did as a young person that were unconscious? So one, can you go back in time and identify some things that we can argue with? Maybe everything is meant to happen for a reason. Jails, institution, death, and drug addiction, right? But no one's going to say that your life was better because of that shit, because, I met Gunnar. It was reduced greatly. And aspects of it were reduced by knowing the A-man. Aspects of it were enhanced. Aspects were reduced. We'll touch upon it for dumb tards. Now, if you don't like the term retard, good. Resist it. Resistance is not futile. So when you're called a retard, if you've ever been called a retard, the question you need to ask yourself is there something that I am doing or saying that is on par with something that a retard would do. Not people that are born with Down syndrome. They're like, arr, arr, but like someone that's just like, are you okay? Did you ever go to school? And so if you find yourself at any point called a retard or the B word, ask yourself, am I that? What is the primary argument that I'm not that? Especially if the person that is giving you that constructive feedback is someone that, say, you threw away like a feminine hygiene product. Just think, McFly. Try to think. Try to stay with me. And you will be helped and you will be evolved, but you need to be able to read and understand the vocabulary that I'm using. Getting your panties all up in a bunch, thinking that you're being attacked when I'm attacking your consciousness, is not helping the situation. And it's best that you unsubscribe from this page as soon as possible if you cannot handle the truth. You've seen that movie with Jack Nicholson saying to Tom Cruise, "You can't handle the truth," right? I'm channeling that to you now. Now, if you can handle the truth and you can handle a little constructive feedback, if I'm not talking to you directly on an email, but I'm talking in a video, then good. Okay, so let's move on. If I could turn back time, cue the song, then we're just going to shut this down and go on with it. What we've got here, for the record, folks, is a coolant system. We've got a coolant system. We're monitoring the power levels, and we're good to go. And I'm recording all this on a flash drive. Had a cup of coffee today, but 4 days without it. I got 40 minutes in the sauna, just sweating like a racehorse. Doing that training in the gym. Thought about going shirtless today on video, but I think that we need to get cut a little bit more, work on that belly fat a little bit more, and do a trim. Do my first trim in years, so I'm beach ready, so I can go to the beach just down the street and get some sand. It's not just down the street, but the beach is the goal. The beach is the goal, and maybe to know people on the beach, but I don't yet know anybody in California or Oregon that has any access to the beach. Yeah, I've heard from some people in the ghetto, though. Yeah, definitely not planning to visit the ghetto, folks. Definitely no bueno, no bueno, no bueno. But this much I'm sure you know. No ghetto for me. No way, Jose. So I would go back in 1998, and I would not be so lonely that I just talked to anybody. Gunnar Standard isn't the only person that I would have not talked to. Vincent also, I wouldn't talk to him. There's a whole number of people that I wouldn't talk to. The A-man would have been a controlled thing. I would have realized his shortcomings, and I would have never placed an emotional expectation for him to house me or employ me or make me money or make me this or make me that. And he promised dozens of things to me, and none of them came true and were true. And those fake promises contributed, although I won't blame him, but contributed to my mental state that later turned towards heroin, which later put me in the system, which removed my Second Amendment. So I would have had a third mentor, or I would have gotten rid of those mentors and friends, and I would have kept that job, and I would have been grateful for that job. If I can turn back time, if I can go back like the Terminator and be like that character from the Terminator movie, right? The assistant of John Connor is going to go back and visit John Connor's mother, right? What would I embed? What would I do in maybe a less sci-fi action film sort of way? There would be a third mentor placed in my path that would actually understand why I even did the drugs, because you got to understand the drug thing came first. Me going to everybody for help came first. And the help didn't come. The understanding didn't come. The compassion didn't come. So I kept using. I kept using in the early years, because when I told everybody that I was using, including my grandfather, he was not really taken seriously, nor was there an understanding of the depths of my trauma that would only grow after 9/11. But that's another story for those that have the interest to read my book, which I think that I need to publish by next year, and talk about those dark years, which my mom never asked me about, which my dad never asked me about. And I'll tell you what, if I had a kid and they had content, or if they went through some shit, I'd want to read their book. I'd want to get inside their head. I'd want to talk to them, especially if they accurately predicted shit. I'd ask them all kinds of questions, y'all. My parents are like, fuck you, N-word. So, little N-word boy. Little N-word boy. And it sucks feeling like a little N-word boy. But that is the nature of the game. I would have been appreciative if I had a mentor guide me in the right direction, and I would have kept my job at Fred Meyer. I would have, in the right time, invested in a house when they were affordable. Okay? And so there's like the sweet spot then when it was the ultimate time to get a house. And actually, one guy who contributed to me getting kicked out when he filled his head full of acid, his name was Steve. He works at a Fred Meyer there on Hawthorne. And he ended up getting a house because he never dealt with, like, yeah, he maintained his job. He didn't go down the road I went through, although he was older than I and went through some crazy stuff in Arizona with a lot of drugs and bad people. And they told me these stories as we did acid and drugs and mushrooms. And there was just bad energy. And then there was Vincent. Vincent brought over some women, and some unfortunate things happened that night in that apartment when my friend bought me alcohol. My friend bought me alcohol. My mentor bought me alcohol and left me and these minors to our devices. And it was not smart for me to give them alcohol. It was not smart for him to give me alcohol. Many things that he did were things that, like, were almost overwhelmingly like get in trouble stuff. So, like, we've got wind, and I just want to record this video on the water because it was healing. I talk about my life, my sense, because I believe in helping the next generation. I believe in teaching young mommies and young daddies how to be a good mommy and daddy based on my own lived experiences.